My name is Suzanne. I'm a 42-year-old housewife working part-time. We don't have children, but my relationship with my husband Alex is pretty good. Living with his parents has, I feel, strengthened our bond even more. Since our living environment changed, I believe that my husband has become a bit kinder. Maybe he's grateful that I agreed to live with his parents. It might seem odd to have reservations as a married couple, but that's one of his good points. However, my mother-in-law is a different story. And so is my sister-in-law. Suzanne, your socks are torn. You should be more careful about your clothing. As I was relaxing in the living room on my day off, my mother-in-law pointed out a hole in my sock. Ah, you're right. I need to throw these away. I quickly took off my socks, but my mother-in-law laughed mockingly. Wearing torn socks, Suzanne? What kind of family did you grow up in? Or do you not have money for new socks? Even though you don't have children and you're working so hard. Not noticing the anger in my face, my mother-in-law lifted her shopping bags happily. Anyway, look at this. I bought new clothes and accessories for a trip with Michelle. Michelle is my husband's sister, my sister-in-law. Mother-in-law, haven't you always said not to waste money? You can't wear old-fashioned clothes when going on a trip. Torn socks are obviously out of the question. And it's not just any trip. It's to thank my late father. My father-in-law had been a successful businessman and passed away soon after retirement. It's true that he left a substantial inheritance. Some of it should have gone to my husband, but my mother-in-law took his portion, increasing her own share. My husband only inherited a small piece of rural land that his father had bought as a part of his hobby. My mother-in-law's comfortable life is thanks to my husband's good grace. I wonder if she understands that? Suzanne, do you really think you have a right to complain about someone else's shopping? You're living here without paying rent. My sister-in-law visits the house almost every weekend. She butted in on our conversation during her visit. Do you think my mother's spending reduces the inheritance? Unfortunately for you, she's just spending her own money. In addition to my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law is also problematic. My mother-in-law is just sarcastic, but my sister-in-law is worse, directly harassing me many times. Suzanne, doesn't your stew taste terrible? She comments on my dinner, tasting and then complaining. How could you serve such salty food to our mother? What were you thinking? Is it salty? It doesn't seem so to me. I'm not asking for your opinion. If I say it's salty, then that's the fact. My sister-in-law then grabbed the stew dish and headed straight to the kitchen. Unbelievably, she threw the stew into the sink. Not just the dish, but all the remaining stew in the pot, too. What are you doing? I was going to serve that for dinner when my husband comes home from work. Eating such a salty stew could make Alex sick, too. I threw it out for the family's sake. Since you're just staying here, not doing anything else, you should cook better meals. My mother-in-law ignored Michelle's harassment and looked away. This is really awful. Alex and I do live here, but there's a valid reason for it. That's right. You're living here to save on rent, aren't you? Just squatting here. But taking over this house as if it's your own, that's out of the question. It's not acceptable. Michelle always shows this kind of hostility towards me. She carelessly throws away my cooking, deliberately breaks my belongings, or accidentally disposes of them. Of course, my mother-in-law doesn't react to these things. She says nothing, even when Michelle does something terrible. This kind of behavior happens only when Alex is not around. She knows that the problem would escalate if Alex were here. I've thought about telling Alex about Michelle's behavior, but I don't want to trouble him, so I keep quiet about it. Maybe Michelle feels insecure. She might worry that us living in this house could affect the inheritance distribution when my mother-in-law passes away. I don't think there's any need to worry about that, and I had faith that someday she would understand. But maybe I'm too optimistic. One day, something unbelievable happened. On a holiday, while my mother-in-law was watching TV and I was cleaning, the doorbell rang. Yes, please come in. Sorry to keep you waiting. We're the movers. A young man's voice came through the intercom. Movers? We don't have any moves scheduled. Are you sure you're not mistaken? As I opened the door to talk, the movers suddenly entered the house, bringing in many boxes. What is this? We're here to deliver your items. Please check the delivery slip. Holding the delivery slip, I was shocked to see it was indeed addressed to our house. Seeing the sender's name, I was astonished. It was Michelle's name. Mother-in-law. I quickly asked the movers to stop and inquired about the situation with my mother-in-law. What's going on? Is Michelle moving in here? My mother-in-law looked away and up at the sky as she answered. Oh, well, I forgot to tell you. Truthfully, Michelle is moving into this house. What? My mother-in-law continued explaining in an indifferent manner. Michelle's been divorced, so she lost her place to live and decided to move here. Really, her husband is so petty. Just for buying a few branded items, he kicked her out and asked for divorce. Michelle's husband, my brother-in-law, as far as I know, isn't the type to consider divorce over a few branded purchases. So, the branded items Michelle bought must have exceeded his tolerance limit. Regardless, Michelle's divorce and having to move out are her problems. We will have a different issue if she comes to live in this house. Mother-in-law, why didn't you discuss this with us earlier? Does Alex know? He doesn't know. I knew he would object if we talked about it. Of course he would. What are you talking about? Even if Michelle comes here, we don't have spare rooms, do we? About that. Suddenly, there was noise at the front door. Oh, the luggage is here already? Then hurry up and bring it in. It's in the way if you just leave it at the entrance. Please, keep working quickly. Michelle appeared with the movers. Michelle, what is this about? We weren't informed about any sudden plans for you to move in. It was decided suddenly. Of course, my mother knows about it. If the owner of the house agrees, then there's no problem. The owner of the house is indeed my mother-in-law, but making such a decision suddenly without the rest of the family's consent is unacceptable. And why can't I return to the house I was born and raised in? You're just an outsider. You're just living here as Alex's wife. Still, it's a problem if you suddenly show up. We don't have enough rooms. Where do you plan to stay? Obviously, I'll use your bedroom. What? Don't you understand? That means you need to leave the house. There's no reason for us to live together now that I'm back. You suddenly came here after my father passed away. But Mother isn't an elderly person needing care yet. I know you're just pretending to take care of her to save on rent and living expenses. How could Michelle have such a misunderstanding? We're paying as much as $2,700 per month for this house, including rent. I tried to argue, but Michelle ignored me and turned back to my mother-in-law. Don't worry, Mother. Your daughter has returned to you. I'll take care of you when you need it. With those words, Michelle entered our bedroom and began pulling things out of the closet. What are you doing? Please stop. I need space for my things. Look, there are many cardboard boxes, so pack your clothes in them. You're moving out soon anyway, right? Using these boxes is quite eco-friendly. Moving out? Yes, unfortunately, your freeloading days end here. I'm going to live here with my mother from now on. Freeloaders who don't pay rent should leave. Michelle grabbed a travel bag from the closet and threw it at me. Now, pack your things in that bag. Michelle pointed and laughed at me. The pain from the bag hitting me was nothing compared to the anger boiling inside me. Fine. I'll discuss it with Alex and leave as soon as possible. In my mind, I wanted to warn Michelle and the mother-in-law of the consequences that would fall upon them. But seeing her smug face, that thought flew away. It was time to reveal the truth. Please, don't regret this. There's no way I'll regret it. Once you leave, I'll be able to begin a peaceful life with my mother. Ignoring Michelle, I stood up and walked out of the front door. I then immediately contacted Alex. Hello, Alex. The time has come to put our plan into action. Pretending to be submissive, I had actually been preparing to give Michelle and my mother-in-law a taste of their own medicine. 3 months later, Alex and I were spending a peaceful holiday together in our new apartment for the first time in a while. Suddenly, Alex's phone started ringing. Hello. Yes. Alex. It seemed that the caller was Michelle, Alex's sister. Her voice was so loud that we could hear her clearly without even using the speakerphone. What's going on? Mother's bank account is empty. I can't believe it. Did you take her money while living with her? Michelle's voice was filled with anger, but Alex remained calm as he responded. Please don't say such groundless things. You know that's not possible. Then why is the money gone? What happened to the inheritance from Dad? So that's it. Michelle completely misunderstood the situation. Looking at Alex, he seemed to be thinking the same thing. Michelle, where did you get that idea? Mother never had much money to begin with. What? The family home and land are valuable, yes, but she had almost no financial assets. When we settled the inheritance, our mother got the house, I got some old house in the countryside, and you received the rest of the financial assets. But there should have been some money left. There was a little, but Mother spent almost all of it. This was the truth. Like Michelle, who went on a shopping spree with branded goods and got divorced, my mother-in-law was also quite a spendthrift. Having land and a house doesn't help if you lack the cash for daily expenses. My mother-in-law, being a housewife, would quickly deplete any small savings with her spending habits. That's why we managed her living expenses while living together, keeping a close eye on her extravagant spending. But it seems that Mother spent her savings on buying herself luxuries. Money is not bottomless. It is bound to run out eventually. That's a lie. I heard that Mother said she let you live with her because you had a poor income. She was letting you stay for free. I don't know what Mother said, but that's all a misunderstanding. We paid all the living expenses and utility bills while living there. Susan has kept the household accounts. We can show them to you anytime. So, that's how it is. Michelle probably believed that living with her supposedly wealthy mother would secure a stable life for her after divorce. But from now on, Suzanne and I don't have to worry about taking care of my mother, since you've taken on that responsibility. Wait, hold on a second. You said it yourself, Michelle. We're not needed anymore. So the house's utility bills and the property tax I've been paying will now be your responsibility. How my mother-in-law, with no savings, will pay the substantial property tax in the future will be interesting to see. But I don't have that kind of money. What should I do? Why don't you sell the house? I took the phone from Alex and made the suggestion directly to her. Despite all the awful things she had said and the harassment we received, I couldn't hold back from speaking to her. It would fetch a good amount. That way, you won't have to worry about property tax, and you'll have cash on hand. Just remember, if spendthrifts like you and Mother get a large sum, it might disappear quickly. What an unbelievable suggestion. If we sell the house, we won't have a place to live, right? As I looked out at the night view from the high floor of our apartment, I smiled softly. Maybe, but that's not our problem. You may very well have to sell the house and live in a smaller apartment. Either way, we'll be here on the top floor of a tower mansion, enjoying the beautiful night view. A tower mansion? What are you talking about? Michelle sounded surprised. Yes, we moved, just as you instructed. And not just anywhere, but to the top floor of the latest tower mansion in a fantastic area of New York. What? After being forced out of our house by Michelle, we had temporarily lived in a small apartment. But then we found and bought a tower mansion in New York. It was quite a distance from our previous home and conveniently located for saving commuting time. How do you have such money? Did you use up our mother's inheritance? Not at all. The old house in the countryside that Alex inherited from his father sold for a surprisingly high price. That old house. Why? Michelle sounded shocked. She couldn't imagine that an old country house could be valuable. Didn't you know about the new bullet train line? Alex's father's land was near the new station and became part of a major development, causing the land value to soar. It was land we had no use for, so we sold it immediately. We got a much higher price than expected. We're really thankful for his father's foresight. If it sold for so much, you should share that money with us. But when we were settling the inheritance, you agreed that the land was worthless, didn't you? You said you didn't need that rural land because it had no value. Value increases after the inheritance has been settled do not affect how they were divided. If you really want to try and revisit the division of assets, feel free to sue. We're ready anytime. Michelle fell silent. She probably realized she couldn't win in a lawsuit. Your father's inheritance money disappearing was due to your mother's spending, and you saw us as parasites living off her wealth. This is the result of your misunderstanding. Please think about your poor choices. I waited for a response from Michelle, who said nothing. But there was no reply from her. Is this the end of our conversation? Okay, I'll hang up now. After ending the call, Alex turned to me, looking apologetic. I'm sorry for the trouble my mother and sister have caused. It's been tough for you, hasn't it? What are you talking about? We knew this might happen and decided to do whatever we could together. A couple always supports each other, right? A month later, Alex received a call from his mother. Can you come back to me now? Your sister has left the house. I sensed that my mother-in-law's voice lacked its previous vitality. I can't live alone. She said she never imagined it would be like this. She thought she could live comfortably without money worries. I don't want to take care of a moneyless old woman, and then she left. But Alex firmly replied, What are you saying all of a sudden? You and Michelle were the ones who drove us out of the house, weren't you? I'm sorry, but now. It's too late. Let Michelle take care of you. We're not getting involved with you anymore. If you can't make ends meet, consult a public agency. I won't help you anymore. With those words, Alex hung up the phone and blocked the contact details of his family home. We don't regret cutting ties with Michelle and my mother-in-law. The same goes for Michelle, who is now missing. Whether they become PUA or accumulate debt, it's their problem, not ours. We have no obligation to extend a helping hand to them anymore. My hope is to continue a peaceful life with Alex. free from the troubles of his mother and sister. My daily routine is hanging laundry on the balcony of our tower mansion, checking if there are any torn socks,